And I am not a wonderful public speaker, so I apologize in advance. I'm going to read, which is what we do in libraries, right? For you. I'm Michelle Lipson. I'm the director here at the Plainedge Public Library. My first question upon hearing about this job opportunity was, where is Plainedge? Over a year later, I realized that the question really should have been, what is Plainedge? I'm not familiar with the term hamlet and with our unusual boundaries incorporating North Massapequa, Seaford, Farmingdale, Bethpage, and Massapequa, which doesn't seem to confuse anyone but me. I've learned that Plainedge is a special entity all its own.
Oh, thank you, Giris.
I've heard people talk about Jewish geography. I don't know if you're familiar with that term, but that is nothing compared to when Plainedge people start talking. Everyone knows everyone else's parents, grandparents, cousins, siblings, and history. People don't seem to move away, or if they do, they move back. I think it's in large part due to the unbelievably supportive community feeling, but I have to believe that the amazing schools in our library have something to do with it. It is so exciting to be here to celebrate 50 years in this building. I am charged with introducing our speakers and offering many thank yous. The first is to all of you. Thank you so much for being here and celebrating with us. My sincerest thanks to the entire Plainedge Library staff, not all of whom we hear today, but they work hard every day and with extra enthusiasm to make this whole anniversary week happen. This was no small undertaking, and the staff approached it with excitement, cooperation, and pride. Thanks to Plainedge school administrators, particularly to Eric Nezowitz, Assistant Superintendent, where is he? For curriculum and instruction for speaking today, and also to Lisa DePaula and Ed Salina for partnering with us to serve the community. Thanks to past library directors, Alfred Freund, Joseph Eisner, who's here today, right there, and to Marilyn Kappenberg for successfully getting us to this point in time. You built a building, a financial foundation, a vision, and a staff that has sustained and strengthened us, so thank you. A last big thank you to all of the local businesses, vendors, and volunteers who gave of their time and money to celebrate with us. They're listed on the back of the program. Thank you to our local legislators who are sharing the day with us, and you'll hear from all of them. Congressman Peter King, Assemblyman John Mickulin, Supervisor Joseph Saladino, Senator Ken Pannon, and Rosemarie Walker, who I wasn't expecting, but I'm so glad you're here, for continuing to support our visions through funding. This year, we were granted a substantial sum from Ken Pannon's office that we're planning to use to make the public library computers handicapped accessible and spruce up the young adult area. From a book called Bethpage Bygones, Ruth Jarvis, one of the first school teachers in Plainedge, used to say that she always left a small quantity of bread dough in her huge wooden mixing bowl as leaven. Yes, memory has its own potent yeast, a touch of yesterday to leaven the here and now. It has been so special to be part of the Plainedge community and to celebrate this event with you. After going through boxes and boxes and boxes of old photographs, I can tell you that we, right here and right now today, are making history and leavening our here and now. We are starting a time capsule today with photographs of today's celebration, our building, technology, staff, and community members. We're going to give you time to think about what you would like to put into our time capsule, invite suggestions, and it will be sealed in December. Special thanks to our past library boards and to our amazing current library board. These devoted members of the community spend countless hours on library business because they care so very much about our library. Ellen Ryder is away. Laura-Oden-Bell is here. Our Vice President, she'll be speaking later today. And Ann Doxsey, please raise your hands. Thank you so much. And thank you to the Plainedge community for always, always supporting your library. It is my pleasure now to introduce you to Senator Ken Pannon. He represents New York's 6th Senate District. His office had a beautiful proclamation sent from Albany. Well, that is one thing. You'll come up. Senator Hannon, would you like to come up? He knows the value of a library to a community, and we know that we can always count on him to think of the library in terms of funding needs. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm here to make sure that you all have read the directory that's on your seats to make sure that none of the politicians are singing today. That would really be a highlight, Peter. This is a proclamation. It is from the Senate. It talks about the high achievements that have been done by the library itself, the board, people who are residents of the community. more importantly, thinking back what this whole area was fields, was plains, then houses, and then created out of that, the community came together to do the library. And 50 years goes past pretty quickly. So I congratulate you. There was a lot of growing pains at that. I've been in the Senate long enough to know some of those growing pains, but I think it's been an ultimate success. So young and old can come here, the center of the community, and it's something to be celebrated, and I'm glad to be part of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's beautiful. Thank you. Now I'm going to introduce Dr. Eric Nezowitz, as I said, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction. I've been awed by the amazing work that you, Lisa DePella, and Ed Salina do with the Plainedge schools. Your creativity, inventiveness, and intelligence with the school projects and school spirit is impressive, as is your social media presence. Pretty incredible. Plainedge students are lucky indeed, and I am very pleased to introduce Eric Nezowitz.
Thank you very much, Michelle. So, Michelle, I used to say the same thing. I lived 90% of my life in Brooklyn, and I moved out here maybe 8 or 9 years ago. And the first thing I said was, where's Plainedge? As a matter of fact, people who lived out here didn't know where Plainedge was, and they don't know the gem that it is. So yes, I've been here in this particular district for about 15 months as the assistant superintendent. I come from a history of educators, and the reason I'm saying that is because I just remember as a kid, my parents would take us to the public library. And as important as I thought it was back then, little did I realize how important it really was to shape my life. I remember as a kid, when I went to school, the teacher would tell us to open up the textbook and we would all read the same story. And there was nothing wrong with that then, that's what it was. But the amazing thing is now, currently, in our school buildings in Plainedge and a lot of the school districts around Long Island, when you walk into a classroom, now you see a lot of this. Hundreds and hundreds of books in classrooms. So kids can select books that they want to read and that they enjoy. And the reason I mention that is because it just seems like the public library, particularly this one, was way ahead of the curve in having all of this for kids. And it really is a real treat for them. To me, it's Disney World for children. I did want to just mention our superintendent, Dr. Salina, our school board president, Kathy Flanagan. I'm here representing them, although I'm honored to be here. They are actually at a school board association conference, so I'm certainly here again, taking their place for today. So, like my own children, they're an extension of who I am, and this library is an extension of who we are as a public school district in Plainedge. When I came here last year, one of the first people I met was Michelle and a couple of other people on the staff here, and I couldn't be more impressed with their commitment to this community, not only the entire community, but really the schools. And I remember I was talking to our literacy coaches. We have literacy coaches in our schools, and we talked about starting a book of the month, where all kids in our elementary schools, K through 5, every month would be reading the same book. And those books were hand-chosen, or are hand-chosen, by our literacy coaches and librarians. And they're chosen based on a message or a moral of the story or something like that. Well, we wanted to get the library involved, so we reached out to Michelle and the staff here and said, hey, could you help us get the kids excited about our book of the month every month? And all of a sudden, literally, I think 24 hours later, I get a picture from here with a picture of the display of our book of the month that we have in our schools. And it's very, very special to us, and we really, really appreciate that and helping to promote that for our kids. So it really is an honor to be here once again, representing this incredible school district. I know some of our students are here, which I'm excited about. But again, I am honored to be here, and we welcome the tradition of working with this library here in Plainedge. And for those people out there who do say, where is Plainedge? Well, it's here, and it's incredible. It's an incredible place to work, and we have incredible students and families and an incredible community. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. That was really nice. I'm going to introduce. Peter Ping as our next speaker. He's a U.S. representative for New York's 2nd Congressional District. I found out that we have in common a love of animals, and that you're so supportive, and I appreciate that. Also a supporter of education and libraries as well. So welcome. Please come.
Thank you, Michelle. It's really an honor to be here today, and to me, you could not possibly have enough libraries in the country. To me, in a desert of turmoil, the library is the oasis. It's where you go to get away from all the tumult, the confusion, the madness that goes on in the world. You can escape to get away from today's realities, but also you can learn how to cope with reality, how you can plan for the future. It really brings you to a different level. It enables you to transcend day-to-day issues and really go forward. And Plainedge, as far as what it is, it's just a great community. I'm proud to represent it. I never quite ask exactly all the parts of it at any given time, but you know it's Plainedge. And you know the people from Plainedge, how proud they are. I remember being at the dedication of the field just a few weeks ago, Eddie Burnfield, and again, being there and speaking at the school, being here in the library today, it just makes me very, very proud to represent all of you. 50 years, it's just a tremendous contribution to the community, and it's really invaluable. So thank you for letting me be a part of it, and I'll see you in another 50 years. Thank you.
Thank you. That is ambitious. Okay. John Niculin is going to be our next speaker from Assembly District 17. I can tell you something about him that you may not know. His wife Corinne works here. We're happy to have her as a reference librarian. So he also has some experience with libraries and has served on the Island Trees Library Board too. Welcome to John Niculin.
Thank you so very much, Michelle. First of all, I just want to say that I am happy to be here for the 50th anniversary. And let me tell you something, I have heck of a lot of experience with libraries. When I was on the Island Trees Library Board, there was a proposal, and the proposal was to sell the property that the library was on and move the library to a very smaller location. Well, I said no. My board said no. The community said no. And now the proposal is to build a larger library on that same location. So I'm very proud to stand with libraries. But as Michelle said, I also have a wife who's a librarian. So, I have tons of books in the house, and she actually works here part-time. She apologizes because she wanted to be here today. Unfortunately, her throat's not doing so well, so she had to stay home. But every single time I go in the house, it's tons of books. And those of you who know Corinne knows that she takes out lots of books straight from this library. So today I'm told, John, you're going. I can't go. Please take my library books back. Guess what I forgot? So your assemblyman's going to be in trouble when he gets home, but thank God she can't yet. So anyway, very happy to be here. God bless you. And very happy to be in support of libraries. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll give Corinne a pass on those 3 books. Oh, thank you so much. That's beautiful. With our beautiful logo on it. Thank you. Thanks so much. So, as a librarian in Nassau County, and I've been one for longer than I can say, I had heard about Joe Eisner long before I started working here. He's a legendary former director of this library, and was here from, I want to say, 1963, is that right, as a consultant, until 2001. He was truly the most innovative director and had a vision for libraries as community hub long before it became a trend. I am honored to introduce Joe Eisner.
Thank you, Michelle. I hope everybody can hear me. I too am honored to be here, and for several reasons. I've always felt, as Michelle had said in her introductory remarks earlier in the program, that Plainedge was a unique community. And what has always fascinated me about this community is the fact that over the years I have noticed that so many people who have grown up here choose to buy a house from their parents or come back here to live, which is, I think, rather unique. I'm also very pleased to be here because I didn't expect to outlive my retirement the way I have. I retired from here 17 or 18 years ago. And this is the first time I've been back in this building since January of 2002. Just a little bit of history. Across the street there in the remodeled shopping center, this library started out in a store for which I was the consultant. I drew up the layout, and they started out with, I guess that store isn't even there. When I came here, I succeeded my predecessor, Alfred Freund, who was instrumental in getting this building built. And the community was very supportive, not only of the library, but of the activities which took place here. Now, you look around here and you see books, and as one of my retired colleague library directors said, I always go to Plainedge, they've got books, which he says other libraries don't have because they're weeding their collection and they're getting rid of books because of the influence of the internet and other distractions. When I first came here, there was a lot of interest in the library, but something seemed to be wrong. When the trustees hired me, the budget for the library had passed by only 12 or 13 votes, so they were a little bit concerned about the next budget year. So the things that we started here, which I am happy to recount to you, was we started to loan tools because I found that so many people were do-it-yourselfers. So we had rototillers, hedge trimmers, tree pruners, auto jack stands, and post hole diggers, you name it, we had it. And we got worldwide publicity for that. And of course that's passé, people don't do that anymore. But that was one of the things. And I'm very happy though to be back here and to celebrate. And well, I don't expect to see anybody again in 50 years, not at my age. I hope that I know the community will support this library. It's a community gem. It's a real community library, and I'm happy that I was part of it. And my career here for 29 years, I always enjoyed every day coming to work and meeting the members of the community and dreaming up new programs. And the ones I think that have been put in place by Michelle and her predecessors even outdo many of the ones that I thought were super. So I thank you all again for coming, and I rejoice with you in this celebration. Thank you.
Thank you. And you know, somebody just asked me about the rototiller today. Yes, we don't have the rototiller, but we do have the post hole digger, if anybody needs that. Yep. So I'd like to introduce Joseph Saladino. He was sworn into office as the 70th Town of Oyster Bay Supervisor in 2017. He spent decades serving the community through service and volunteer positions. Supervisor Saladino is a strong advocate for the environment and clean drinking water. I think the very first thing I did when I walked into this building was to install filtered water. That plume is dangerously close. So I thank you for addressing that dangerous issue, and I'm pleased to introduce Supervisor Saladino.
Thank you, Michelle. Let's hear it again for Michelle. A great job she's doing today and every day here at our library. And another big hand for Joseph Eisner. Mr. Eisner, such a privilege to have you there. Well, this is great. Why? It's the loudest I've ever been able to speak in a library. A microphone and everything. Oh my gosh. When I was a kid, just the thought of that, it's unheard of. So happy to join all of you. You do an incredible job. We love this library in the town of Oyster Bay. But just a very quick story. I see on our agenda we'll be listening to a song by Bruno Mars called When I Was Your Man. Well, some years ago in the New York State Assembly, I used to represent this very area, this very library, and back then I was your man. We fought for more funding. We worked along with other elected officials like Senator Campanen. And I can tell you from my 14 years of experience fighting, and that's, oh boy, that's the word in Albany, where it is a tough fight for everything you get. Senator Campanen has been second to none, advocating for us, making sure that the grants he was able to get are enormous. We brought one small grant for the Children's Media Center, and it pales in comparison to what the Senator has done each and every time for our community. And quite frankly, Senator, working with you to get the job done, to start the process of cleaning up the Grumman Navy plume has been the most rewarding aspect of my career thus far. So I appreciate everything you do and everything Rose Walker does. So I said I was your man in the State Assembly, but now you have somebody who's truly qualified in John Mikulin, and he's reminded of what he needs to do every day when he goes home. I asked, right, his wife Corinne, she's a sweetheart, she's a wonderful person, and he feels like he lives in a library because every time he tries to talk, he hears shh. We're also joined by Andrew Monteleone, who's running for State Assembly to the north of here, but made a point to come out because of his closeness to the community. Thank you, Andrew. And a dear friend of mine who's doing a great job, Judge Colin O'Donnell. Judge Colin O'Donnell runs throughout the town of Oyster Bay and in the city of Glen Cove, and makes sure he gets out to every event, is very, very supportive. Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Judge Colin O'Donnell, for all you do. So, 50 years. I can only imagine what the next 50-year celebration is going to be like when we cut the ribbon for the third floor with the pool and the post hole digger and the rototiller will be up there. Peter King will be here because he'll still be our congressman. And I'll be nothing but a memory. Wow, remember that supervisor who used to talk too much? Well, perhaps there'll be a little plaque in a corner somewhere. But if that doesn't happen, I'll give you something with my name on it. How's that? I'm just going to ask Colin O'Donnell to join me up here, and any of the elected officials who would like to join us up here for this photo, I appreciate it. This says thank you. Thank you for 50 years of educating our children and our families. Thank you for 50 years for being that incredible element in this community. About education, I'm going to ask you to stand right in the middle, Michelle. Thank you for 50 years of continuing to make a difference. When our kids need something special, this is where they find it in the library. When our children want that special book, that special video, and everything and anything you could ask for, including rototillers, amazing, you get right here in the Plainedge Library. You've been an incredible partner. You do an incredible job. The staff here, thank you to the board. Some of our board members are up here who are doing an incredible job. Thank you to the staff. I'm Supervisor Joe Saladino, and thank you on behalf of all of the residents of the town of Oyster Bay. Congratulations on your 50th anniversary.
To the edge of the carpet, please.
Right to the edge of the carpet. Always on the edge. On the edge. There we go. Oh, now we know who's singing today.
I'll go first. About half an hour. And look here, please. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I love you. I love you.
Yes, well done. Thank you. Okay, so we have some students here, I hope, ready to play. But before we do that, would you come up, Rosemary Walker, Councilwoman?
Thank you, and it's an honor for me to be here today too. And I apologize that you weren't aware that I was coming. Unfortunately, my assistant in my office is going through some health issues, and there have been people in there trying to open mail and check on things, and I'm trying to check on things too, but I'm guessing that this sort of slipped through the cracks, but thank God I get the supervisor's schedule too, so I wouldn't have wanted to miss it. And I'm going to ask Angel Cepeda to join me also, who is Nassau County Chairman of the Board of Youth Services. And obviously he works with our children all the time and all of our different youth agencies. But I want to tell you, Plainedge is a very, very special place, and every opportunity I get to tell everyone how special Plainedge is, I do that, and I do it so lovingly, and it's a community that really comes together, that came together for this library. They came together for wonderful special events and wonderful hardships and sad events that your community has had to face. And I think that although some people might not exactly know where Plainedge is, I think they've heard a lot of wonderful things about Plainedge. Like I said, sometimes because of very sad and tragic situation, but truly is an amazing place, and this library is an amazing place. And I'm very lucky because John Mickelin's wife, who does work here part-time, is also a teacher over in Old Country Road School, which is right near my house, one of our 7 elementary schools in Hicksville. And so I'm sure many of the books that our children can take advantage of in Old Country Road School come from Plainedge Library. And reading is wonderful. And I know for us as elected officials, you know, we get to do a lot of wonderful, wonderful things and wonderful events we go to. But when we're reading to our students, it's just so amazing. And not only do we read but they learn a little bit about what we do. When I read, I usually always have 2 books, so they have to vote on the book, so they understand that for our jobs we get voted into office, and sometimes one book wins by a lot, so they get reminded that's called a landslide vote. But I always remind them that whatever book didn't win, this looks like a great story and I want to read it, so make sure I'm going to leave it here for your teacher and you could read that book later. But reading is such an adventure, and for us as adults, and certainly for little children, I always remind them that they can pretend whatever they're reading about, that they're part of that story, and it's just so exciting. So I want to thank you so much, and I too have a citation for you, celebrating your 50 years here in this site. I've lived in Hicksville my entire life, so Plainedge is fairly close by. So I remember when there wasn't a library right here. And I don't really remember the post-hole diggers and coming, because I didn't come in for them. But maybe my dad did. So, but this is something for you, and Angel and I will present this to you. Thank you. And thank you so much, and thank you for letting us be a part of this very, very special day.
Thank you for coming. I was waiting for a song. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so our students aren't quite ready. Is that okay? Okay. So we have students from the high school that are going to play for us, but we're going to start right now. Laura-Oden-Bell is our vice president of our board of trustees here at the library. She's also one of the busiest women I know, and still has time to do all of that. She's been on the board for 18 years, working hard to serve the community and our library. She has a lot of passion, enthusiasm, and stamina. Maybe because of all the yoga, I don't know, that's why. And she's extremely supportive of the work we do here, and for that and so much more, I thank her. It is my pleasure to introduce you to Laura-Oden-Bell.
Michelle. On behalf of the Plainedge Public Library Board of Trustees, I would like to thank all of our invited guests and community members for being here to celebrate our 50th anniversary. We would also like to thank Michelle and her entire staff for all their ideas, enthusiasm, and hard work in putting together a week-long celebration. They did a great job, didn't they? The Plainedge Public Library is very unique because Plainedge itself is not a town. We don't even have our own zip code. But whether you live in Bethpage, Seaford, Farmingdale, North Massapequa, or Massapequa, regardless of your age, ethnic background, religious background, or political affiliation, The Plainedge Public Library is the one thing we all have in common, and it serves to unite us in a very positive way. When the Plainedge Public Library was first founded in a storefront across the street, I'm sure that the directors and the trustees at that time could never imagine what the library would be today. The library is so much more than books, music, and movies. We offer programs for all ages, from toddlers through adults, help with employment, computers, virtual reality goggles, and even technical support for e-readers, iPads, and cell phones and devices that weren't even invented 50 years ago. Every 5 years, the library director and the board of trustees jointly develop a long-range plan for our future operation. At the end of that 5-year period, we are pleasantly surprised to see there's always something new or something better than what was first planned or first developed, which is a testament to the commitment of the leadership team. It's hard to imagine what the library will be in 50 years from now. The only thing I can say with confidence is that we will still be one thing. There'll still be always one thing here, and that will be that the Plainedge community and the library unites us all. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the lovely festivities of the children from Plainedge Public Schools. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Laura. Are our kids ready?
Yes.
Yes?
We're coming.
I'm getting a big thumbs up. Okay, so Laura Rotolo, hi. Is that you?
Yes, that's me.
I'm so glad you're here. I was just about to say you weren't able to come.
Oh, no.
She's here. Well, thank you so much. Do you want to introduce the kids?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.